Welcome into another edition of the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group. Jason Pugh joined here by the head demon himself, Coach Blaine McCorkle. And Coach, will jump into Saturday night at McNeese and talk to you after the game. And it was a situation where within this process, with the amount of youth that is on this roster, nights like Saturday night are going to happen, especially when you had something you hadn't had in a while, a little confidence building going into that game. But you learned a lesson about your team, and I think they learned it as well.
Yeah, you did. We've said it a million times. You lose or you learn. We're doing a lot of learning around here, and we got to start flipping that script. There's no doubt it's time. But McNeese's game with us Saturday night was a tough one. We learned a lot of lessons, no doubt. We didn't win. We didn't come close to winning against Lamar 2 weeks ago, but our kids did gain some confidence in that game, and I think that's good. They need confidence. It's very important. It's very valuable. And as you mentioned, with the youth and going through this process, there's still a lot of immaturity there with it, and they have to learn how to handle that. So you come off of a game where, even though we got beat handily, we did gain some confidence, and we did some things that showed some signs of life, and you go through a week where a lot of the exterior noise got to them with McNeese isn't very good. Well, they're McNeese, and they've won 25 conference championships for a reason, and they are big, and they are strong, and they are physical, and they've got a good football team, even though they're not having the year they expected. They've still got a lot of football to play. I mean, they're liable to end up 500 by the time this thing's done if you look at their schedule. So, when people kept saying that and our players kept hearing it, I cringed a little bit all week, knowing that we got a young football team and they need to learn how to handle those messages. It's what it is. There's always going to be external factors, outside noise, whatever, and you have to learn to deal with that maturely. I'm not going to say that our kids didn't show up to play, but I think they had a little bit of an off approach, and that's something that we've got to educate them in, teach them how to handle those things, that you show up and play every game the exact same way, in your preparation and in your approach and to your opponent, and that's something that we've got to learn. We are so young and still so early in this process of rebuilding this thing from below a foundation that we've talked about. We have no margin for error. And when you have no margin for error, you can't have an off night too. And we had an off night, and it cost us dearly. We didn't play good football. We let things kind of compound. To our kids' credit, they stayed positive. They stayed together. The sideline didn't implode, which it would have a year ago. And they kind of kept fighting through it, but it became too much to handle in a hurry. And it kind of showed us where our holes are. McNeese exposed some things with us that we know we've got to correct. A lot of it from a personnel standpoint. We've got to get bigger and we've got to get more physical. And that really showed up Saturday. So hopefully we learned a lot from it again. We'll keep growing and go back to work against a really, really good UIW team. And same thing, UIW is not having the season that they're used to having. But for people to sit around here and say that they're having a bad year and a bad team, you're kind of out of your mind. So we've got to be able to process messages and realize where information's coming from, and sometimes that information has no clue what it's talking about.
When you do, one of the things you talked about, not just age, not just experience, but right now, one thing, health is a battle right now for you.
Sure.
I mean, this is not the same team you walked into Alcorn with. Obviously, no. You don't have those guys, every one of those guys at your disposal. If there's a silver lining in that, it's maybe some of those guys that are getting extra snaps as you build in this process toward next year and the year after that and the year down the road.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, our whole team is back for years to come, and it is the time of year when you've got 4 less to go where you can throw a couple of those freshmen in there without fear of losing their red shirt. Trevor Allen has been in and out a little bit through the year. He's played 3 now. He has 1 more to go. We're going to be very careful with when that one is. Rory Lambert, who is an extremely promising offensive lineman. He's one of those guys who has some of that mass that we've got to find. He was able to get in the game, and he did really well. Proud of what he did, so he'll probably show up a little bit more the next couple weeks. Tyler Welch, freshman defensive lineman, was able to get in the game, recorded a tackle, good for him. So he kind of felt that environment now, and there'll be a few other guys that'll kind of pop up in here. So yes, you do get to do some things like that. Those things will help us in the future. But again, the majority of the team, that's kind of where they are anyway. They're young guys playing really ahead of their time to do so. We were laughing this morning, the 2 deep that we kind of put together preliminary on UIW. 10 of their 11 starters on defense are seniors or graduate seniors. They got 10 seniors and 1 sophomore. So we kind of chuckled at ourselves with that. They'll be playing against 8 freshmen on offense. So good for us. That's how you grow. That's how you learn, and that's a great challenge. And it'll definitely help us out down the road. Almost
sounds like the sophomores. You find the one that doesn't belong.
That's right,
on
yeah.
that list. But you mentioned Roy Lambert, and I think one of the kind of telling stats. I don't want to say favorite stats, but telling stats is when he hit the field in game 9, he became the first 300-pound offensive lineman to take a snap for you this year.
That's right. He's like 301. Yeah. He came in a little heavier than that. To his credit, he's done a good job losing some weight, and I think he'll put it back on. I think when he gets to where he needs to be physically and older, he'll be playing at 315, 320, and I think he can be a really dominant player in this league. Right now, it's an interesting stat. We have 3 players on our roster over 300 pounds, and we're talking about a Division I football team. So that kind of speaks to the rebuild, the youth, all those things. It takes time to grow guys to that size. By comparison, the school that I came from before here was a Division III school, and all 5 of my starting offensive linemen were over 300 pounds. Now, different animal, different height, different length, different athletic skill set, but we have got to find and create some size and mass in a hurry, and I think that's one of the biggest things that got exposed in Lake Charles Saturday night.
You talked about that. You talked about the one thing you've always said this year you need is birthdays. And I know you can't get those on a wish list.
Yep.
We can buy you all the stuff you want. You just can't get older in a hurry. That comes with time. But again, you've seen some of those guys. And for you guys as a staff, too, it's not just you get that on tape. You get to look at it. And it's one thing to say, like during the bye week, I know you guys put a lot of the younger guys together. You do a lot of rookies at the end of fall camp and scrimmages against each other. But there's really no substitute for seeing them play against another Division I athlete.
That's right. Yeah, there's not. And in a normal year, a normal cycle, a lot of times what we'll use Sunday nights for is to have rookie scrimmages. We can't do that because that's the guys that are playing the game, So hopefully we'll get to, in a year or two on Sunday night, we'll get to use those nights to really develop the young players, the guys that are redshirt and the guys that aren't getting many reps. And that's a very, very valuable thing to do to grow your program and build some depth. But right now we're getting those things done on Saturday afternoon. But you're right. There's no replacement for going in there and playing against good competition, and our guys are definitely getting an opportunity to do that.
And they'll get their 4th chance to do it at home this year. You got 2 home games left. Obviously, one is Saturday against UIW before the November 20th season finale against Stephen F. Austin. But you just talked about it. UIW kind of in that same boat as McNeese, not having the year they're used to, not having the year they wanted to have, especially given where everybody thought they would be at the start of the year, but kind of got healthy in a sense last week.
That's right,
beat the number 15 team in the country, so they're going to come in here flying pretty high.
Yeah, they are, and everybody knows that they've had some kind of unusual losses this year. Opened up with the loss to Nichols. You can kind of see how that happened. I know they had some injuries. They play a tough schedule, so they've had a couple losses that they're not used to, but it's still UIW. And when you turn on the film, they are fast, they are athletic. Their offensive line can move. I mean, they can really do some things. They've got a linebacker that's as good as probably anybody in the league right now. So they're still the same old UIW regardless of record, and that showed up Saturday against Lamar. I mean, it ended up 24-17, but they jumped out on them in a hurry and separated that game, and Lamar was playing catch-up the rest of the way. So that's all you need to know. They are a very good and very capable football team, and even though their season probably will not have a conference championship, probably will not go to the playoffs, at the end of the day, from a talent standpoint, they're as good as anybody in the country. And sometimes those seasons just happen, and that's kind of what they're going through.
And it's interesting. You'll have Cardinals and back-to-back home games. You had Lamar and you got UIW, but philosophically, I don't think there's 2 more different teams, perhaps to the naked eye and to maybe the Joe fan than those 2. Yeah,
they're polar opposites. The uniforms are the same. When you turn on that game, it looked like a spring game. With the uniforms and the nicknames, but yeah, they play a different style of play. They've been known to throw it all over the yard pretty good, and they've got some guys out on the edge that can go. They've got a quarterback that's pretty athletic, and he can sling it down the field and do some things. They've changed quarterbacks throughout the year, so they're actually playing with a redshirt freshman now as well, a kid that transferred in there from Central Florida, I believe, and he is very, very capable and very talented. And he's got some weapons around him to go to, and he's got a group of 5 guys in front of him that are really going to take care of him and allow him to operate and grow.
Well, Coach, you've got 2 left at home. Again, one will be Saturday, so we'll look forward to seeing you out there, and we always want to thank you for your time here as we get ready to hear from defensive coordinator Matt Connor. You're watching the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group here on YouTube.
Super One Foods is proud to be named the official grocery store of the Northwestern State University Demons. No matter where you gather to watch the game, we've got everything you need at Super One Foods, all at super low prices. Plus, you can order online and enjoy same-day pickup with our convenient curbside service. Talk about a game changer. Score big when you shop at Super One Foods, your official NSU Demons grocery store.
Welcome back into the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group. Now joined by Northwestern State Defensive Coordinator Matt Connor. And Coach, we'll jump right in. Great start there at McNeese. Second play of the game, you get an interception. You start to think things are going to go your way, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
We'll just put it that way. It was a tough one. Again, kind of showed where, as Coach said, where the margin of error for this team is.
It does. First of all, hats off to McNeese. Their record is not indicative to the football team that they have. For whatever reason, I'm not in their program, so I don't know. But from seeing it firsthand, they're really big, they're really physical, they're really strong, they're really old, and that kind of took its toll Saturday. But, either way, our standard has to be much higher than what we put on the field Saturday. And the guys know that, coaches know that. It's unacceptable, frustrating at times. But as I told the defensive staff Sunday, we can sit here and try to figure out why, and we will, and we'll make the corrections. But at the end of the day, UIW is coming here on Saturday, and they're looking to come in here and win a football game, and we've got to stop them from doing that. So the beauty of college football is it forces you to move on, good, bad, or ugly, and that's what we'll do, and go to work to put the best plan we can together for UIW.
Coach touched on it, and he mentioned Tyler Welch getting in Saturday. That was one of those Final Four games. So in a situation where your side of the ball really had, both sides have been hit hard by injuries, but certainly certain positions on your side of the ball have been, for lack of a better term, decimated by injuries. These Final Four games, when you do start to feel like you have maybe a few more cards in your deck now?
Yeah, it does. It allows us a little bit more freedom as far as getting some young guys in there without burning that whole year. And, we didn't necessarily have plans for Tyler Welch to play, if I'm being completely honest, but we had some injuries, and he was able to step in there late in the game and did a good job, and just kind of got in there and did his job and showed that, as we know, is because we see it all the time, he's got a really bright future here.
Caden Mackey came up with that first drive interception, and he's a guy that we've seen in these 2 years make some plays. He had the great interception in week 1 in the end zone, and then the one we just talked about there. He's made some big tackles. He's made some big stops. Is he kind of the developmental story you can pitch to other players that are maybe kind of working through some struggles right now or kind of trying to find their way?
Yeah, you can. Caden's just, Caden, first of all, is a really, really good athlete. We had to play him last year as a true freshman, kind of along the lines for the same reasons. We had some guys banged up, and we got really thin back there. And so we had to play him pretty much the entire season. And then, unfortunately, this year, he's kind of dealt with some injuries. He was out for almost 3 weeks prior to this game. And so this is the first time we've seen him back in about 3 weeks getting significant action. And, he kind of made his return known there for second play of the game, and that's just who Caden is and what he can do. And but yeah, to your point, just his growth and his development over the first couple of years, and that's only going to continue. The more reps he gets under his belt, the more experience. He is not lacking at all in athleticism and ability right now. It's just being able to get him out there and get him experience and getting plays under his belt. And the more he does that, the better he'll get.
I think his confidence level has stayed high too. Make a play, but to be out that long, but still to feel that you can come back and kind of not miss a beat. He's, I don't say uber confident, and he doesn't walk the line between confidence and arrogance, but he has a very high belief in himself.
Oh, he does. He's a confident player, and you want that, especially in that position, because there are going to be some times where you're kind of put on an island and it's you and one other guy, and you don't have any help, and it takes a certain level of confidence to get out there and compete in that moment. And he is definitely a competitor. He doesn't lack confidence at all, and I like that about him.
Well, your secondary is probably going to be challenged a lot this year. We've talked with Coach McCorkle, UIW, by the numbers and strictly by the numbers, not having the year they want to have in terms of wins and losses. But one thing, that offense is going to throw it around. They're going to put a lot of pressure on your secondary.
Yeah, much like McNeese, they're, if you just look at their schedule, it's not a true view of the team that they have. I don't know why that is. We've watched almost every snap that they've played and just being able to get games finished. But They're extremely talented. They're extremely athletic. They've got some receivers that can go get the football, and they had a change at quarterback week 3, and I think the guy that they've got in there now is really starting to see him gain some comfort in what they're doing, and he can make every throw on the field. The one thing, the X factor in college football right now is he can run. If you got a quarterback that can run and scramble and get away from you, you've got to be really, really smart about how you pressure him, when you pressure him, and make sure we have someone there to get him down if he gets away from us. And so we'll go to work and develop that plan as the week goes on.
Is that where someone like Fernando Washington can be a bit of an X factor for your defense?
Absolutely. I mean, we'll, I don't think I'm giving anything away and telling you guys that we'll have some opportunities for Fernando to sit back and spy their quarterback, so that, and it's not, that's not to prevent him from getting away. That's more to allow our front to rush freely. Sometimes when you're rushing an athletic quarterback, it's real easy not to rush as hard because you're worried about him getting away from you. But if we can put a spy on him, now our front knows, hey, I can go get this guy, whatever it takes. If he gets off his spot, I've got somebody to help me, and it really frees them up to go do what they do well, and that's pass rush.
But lane integrity remains something you have to keep front of mind.
Have to, especially this week.
When you look at it, you just mentioned their receiving core, Jalen Walthall,
Yeah.
or Walthall, I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'll get that before Saturday.
Yeah.
But he is one that came in with the accolades this year and has lived up to them.
Yeah, he has. He's right now he's leading their team in receptions. Not quite lead them in yards. Don't quote me on that. But it's really, really close. And you can tell him and the quarterback have a special relationship. He's really trying to get the ball to him at times. And their coaching staff does a really, really good job offensively with, shifts and motions and a bunch of different formations to where they get him in a matchup that they like. And so they do a really good job designing things to get him the ball. With all that being said, I think one of the most impressive things about him is their receiving core as a whole. Amongst their first 5 receivers, I think they have a difference in about 5 or 6 catches amongst all of them. And so they do a really good job of spreading the ball around. They've got some guys that we think are dealing with some injuries that would be up there leading the offense in receptions. But they have an extremely large amount of balance in how they spread the ball around in the air.
So it's going to wants to strain the secondary with those multiple options.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from a defensive standpoint, you mentioned it, quarterback, receiver, we hear about those relationships all the time. Yeah. Is there a similar situation on a defense, or do you think it matters from scheme to scheme where that maybe stronger relationship is?
Yeah, I think for us, and I think in pretty much any scheme, but for us, our middle 3 safeties, they're the guys that have to be comfortable playing with each other because they have to do a lot of communication, especially in a game like this when the offense is going to change the picture on you after they line up. They're going to motion, they're going to shift, they're going to show you a bunch of formations. Our 3 middle safeties have to do a great job working together and communicating and getting lined up, and that obviously helps when they have, when they're comfortable with each other and they have good communication.
Well, Coach, thank you for communicating with us this week, and we'll see you Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock out there against UIW. And when we come back on the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group, we'll be joined by Northwestern State Offensive Coordinator Carson Stewart.
Whether it's in the trailer, behind the camera, or on the air, NSU has a place for you. Learn the ins and outs of an ESPN broadcast while getting a full-fledged education in sports media or broadcast journalism. Northwestern State University. New media, journalism, and communication arts. Learn more at nsula.edu/new media.
Welcome back into the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group, and welcome back to the show. Carson Stewart missed last week with an illness. Glad you're feeling better, and glad that we're separated by enough where I should be good too. Coach, let's jump into Saturday at McNeese. It's a tough one. We know how young that offensive line is, and your offense as a whole is. The challenges against going against a veteran defense, what are those? I mean, what are the biggest challenges? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it a combination of both?
Combination of both for sure. But again, that's the reality of it, and there's still lessons to be learned for our guys as well as our coaching staff. So there's a lot of things that we can learn from moments like that. Hats off to McNeese. They run a good program. They got a great roster right now, and that's what we're trying to build here.
You hate to say it, you're 9 games in, and I know Coach McCorkle and the staff as a whole, there's no excuses. You're not one that makes an excuse, but does it seem like you feel it sometimes a little bit snake bit this year? You first 2 really big runs of the game, Saturday night at McNeese, Colby Burrell breaks 2 real big runs, and then he's pretty much unavailable the rest of the way. It seems like it's been that kind of year.
Yeah, a small injury bug here and there, so that kind of comes into play once in a while. And it's next man up, and you saw our next man up there, another young guy, Trevor Allen.
So, and not just him. Ian Vigo gets, this is how deep we're into the season, and you're still seeing college debuts, which is at times a good thing and at times by plan, but at times it just happens.
It does happen, and I think our staff does a great job of getting the next man ready, in the film room, in the classroom, and on field with their individual drills. So you don't have to really bat an eye when another guy does come in, but it is next man up mentality.
Well, next man up also was on the offensive line. We talked about it with Coach McCorkle, Rory Lambert getting in for the first time. Your first 300-pounder to get in and play a game, which is still kind of crazy in this era of college football. It kind of shows where the roster construction is in terms of youth. But what do you like about him? We've heard Coach McCorkle talking about him. He's an old offensive lineman. But what does Carson Stewart, the offensive coordinator, like about Rory Lambert?
He's very tenacious. I think he's smart. I think his best days are ahead of him. He's another young guy that, you coach him to do the right thing, he's going to find a way to do it. And I think there's a lot to be said for the find a way to win type guys.
How has he fit in that offensive line room?
Great. I think all the guys in there have welcomed him with open arms. He's a good personality to be in there, and he's just waiting for his first shot.
Is he as tenacious off the field, or is he one of those guys that it flips between the lines?
Maybe it flips between the lines. He's a little bit more reserved around the offices and the film room sometimes, but it's not a bad thing.
That could be part of being a freshman, too. He may just be finding his way and then see that personality emerge next year.
Certainly.
For you guys, you talked about it. What are the challenges for an offensive coordinator when you're having to mix different personnel, maybe personnel you weren't feeling you'd have to do at this point? I mean, is it you feel like you're playing chess, or are you playing a different kind of game at that point?
It's a constant conversation with the staff of trying to do what's best for our guys who are available at that moment. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If something is going well in that course of the game or that drive, stick to your guns and stay with that. So a lot of conversations with the staff on who that guy is week to week.
How much does the continuity of that staff and the fact that you and Coach McCorkle have been together a long time, you and Coach Maurice Stewart have been together for several years, does that give you some a comfort factor there when making those decisions?
Yeah, it sure does. I think we all trust each other more than anything, and that's a lot to be said for that. And we all lean on each other a lot, which is a good thing. And everybody in there, their opinions are valued. And at the end of the day, something has to be called and done about that. But we're all very open. There's some great minds in there. Coach Joseph in there, great sounding board, and just a genius when it comes to the schematics of the game. And Coach Martin and Coach Camp, just 2 guys I lean on a lot as well throughout the week of game planning.
Well, Coach Joseph pinch hit for you last year. What's that relationship been like for you the last couple of years working with him, a guy that has just so much experience in this game?
Well, I have to be a sponge, and I think he has provided so much insight for me personally, as well as a coach, and he's such a role model for me that I know I can go to him for anything, and I know I'm going to get the truth, and I know he's going to try and see all sides of things, be it schematic or be it in life. So he's a terrific resource for me where I am in my career right now.
As you look ahead to UIW, I think one of the first things, and it's not just them, you see it different programs across the country. Talk about UIW offense, it's all offense, and the defense kind of gets left a little bit behind in terms of that. What do you see from that Cardinal defense?
Yeah, the Cardinal defense plays fast. They're very well coached. Jim Gush is in his second or third year there. Great defensive mind. He's coached a lot of football at a lot of high-level places. They have a good defensive staff that's been there for some time as well, so you can speak on continuity with that. And their guys play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Downhill, fast, aggressive, and they're well coached. Good skill sets at all spots, and the front 7 and in the box. in the back, and they've got some good length back there as well.
And they've got a veteran too deep, like you guys, like Coach McCorkle said, I believe 10 graduates or seniors on that defense. What is the biggest challenge for your offense in terms of facing a defense that is as loaded with experience as that?
Yeah, I think, when you take that into account, those guys have done it for a longer period of time, and that typically, helps. But at the same time, for us, our ability to continue to do what we're coached to do, and execute at a high level, that's going to be the theme all week. Just do what you're coached to do, and to the best of your ability.
And happy to be at home.
Amen.
Well, you got 2 of the last 3 at home, so we will see you for the first of those 2 Saturday at 1 o'clock. Carson Stewart, thank you for your time as always. I want to thank head coach Blaine McCorkle, defensive coordinator Matt Connor for joining us. You've been watching the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group here on YouTube.